Yo, this video really just pissed me off, bro. I think I speak for all fathers, and then somebody like me that's been paying child support for going on 8 years. You can eat shit. If you need child support to survive, you don't deserve custody of that child.
So I'm just going to get on here real quick, and I'm going to speak for this beautiful woman that you are talking to and a lot of single mothers on here. Sir, you can eat shit. I guarantee I'm not going to be the one to break this one to you, because you probably know, based on the amount you probably pay, and it's probably little less to next to nothing, that your baby mom would not be able to survive off of it. So you know very well that when this woman made this post, she's probably so thankful because she don't get help with shit, and she probably got little to less to next to nothing. The mother of your child brought a whole human life into this world. Unfortunately, that is yours for you. Have some more fucking respect. You should want that woman to succeed, and you should never want to pull that woman out of that child's life just based off the fact that she can't fully provide. Guess what? That shit's a lot of fucking work. Some of that shit none of you men could ever do. As a single mother, and most of us women, we were single mothers prior to even leaving your asses. We were doing it all by ourselves. You're telling me you want this woman to raise, cook, clean, make sure the kids get to all their obligations, and you're gonna sit here, lay back, and complain about the little bit of help that you have to do. Being a mother alone in itself is literally a full-time job plus overtime, and we don't get paid. So now, being a single mother on top of being a full-time mother, that's 2 jobs now that we have. Show the mother of your child a little bit more respect.
So, if the child support was next to nothing or very little like this single mom criminal claims, then why collect the child support? And these modern women who complain that they don't help the father are the ones who divorce the father. That's the benefit of a relationship like marriage. The father helps out. You can't fire an employee then expect them to work for free right after when you can't find an applicant who can replace them. And with this single mom's logic, if a modern woman can't support herself and the child's her own, then that doesn't disqualify her from raising her kid. Yet, the single father supported the whole family, but he's deprived from seeing the kid, unless he gives up his resources. If being single is so hard because, as the criminal single mom says, it's working 2 full jobs, then why divorce the father? Single moms can collect very little or no child support if they had Chad's or Tyrone's kids. Because they pick 6 feet over a 6-figure salary, 6 inches over the character of a man, and a criminal record over a law-abiding man because he's boring. What do people in the comments section say about this? One man wrote, "Nobody told her to have a fucking kid." And that's true. With the freedom of an abortion with the consent of the father anytime, why would these women have kids if it's working 2 jobs? Could it be the child support they get for stealing a man's DNA? The rest of the comments are single moms. I get child support not because I need it, but because it's his responsibility to pay since he ain't here to help raise our child. Another woman expecting a man to do everything that a husband would with the commitment. Or she had a kid with a loser, and now she's living with the consequences. Child support is reimbursement for expenses the mother already covers. Majority of single moms live in poverty. So how are they being reimbursed for the money they didn't have in the first place? And it's more like it's reimbursement for money the mother has already spent, like to get her nails done, or to buy another pair of shoes, or to go to Starbucks. Another single mom wrote, "If you have child support coming out your check, it's because you aren't co-parenting, so the judge got involved." That's because many men realize it's better just to cut their losses and move on. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. What's the point of paying half of your check if you get every other weekend to see your kid? That's not enough time to properly raise a kid. That's not worth living check to check just to be an occasional parent.
I don't do 2-part videos, so I'm going to try and get this in 3 minutes, and it needs a lot more than 3 minutes. But let me tell you a fucking story here, okay? I'm a repo guy. I don't hide it. A scenario that I've seen time and time again, not necessarily in Ontario where I live, but in Alberta. and a particular file I was working. He was working oil and gas. Those boys made a lot of fucking money at one point in time. This guy was making in excess of $140,000 a year. The economy goes for shit. Oil and gas goes through the toilet. Buddy loses his job. Company shuts down. Does what he's got to do. Takes a job at $60,000. Well, that shit ain't good enough for the rig pig that he hooked up with. 2 kids. She buggers off. Goes to court. I want child support. Your Honor, last year he made $140,000. That is what his child support is based on. He can't afford that. Nobody can. Because he went from $140,000 to $60,000. He's doing the best he can. He loves his kid. So, he's got some decisions to make. Make his truck payment, his insurance payment, his house payment, whatever other payments he's got to make. First one he stops is his insurance payment. Driving with no insurance. Risk it. The second thing, he loses his place to live. Now the guy's living in his truck. Yep, I am going to get a lot of hate for this, but it is my job and it is what I do. Now he's behind on his truck payments. All his toys are gone. This woman's gone. She's got the kids, and he's got this financial obligation that he can't pay. Child maintenance now seizes his driver's license. Now he can't drive. Can't work because he can't drive. Can't drive because he's got no insurance, and he's got no license. Then he loses his truck. Now, I kept in contact with this guy because he was a really decent guy. A couple of weeks after I lost contact with him, I found out he killed himself. Because he couldn't survive. He couldn't survive financially. He couldn't survive mentally. Now, the economy, yep, shit happens. But he went and got a job, making less money. He could have gone to court and got his child support reduced. He couldn't afford to go. He's dead. Gone. Now, you want to know how child support can ruin a man's life? Think about that story before you post shit.
The commenter is a woman, and not surprisingly, she got her answer. Yes, women, try to pay an extra car note and see if it doesn't make your life harder. This goes to show that modern women don't really understand what it's like to be on your own. Men, if you find yourself in a situation where you had to pay child support and it's going to be a real financial burden and you don't get 50-50 parenting at the very least, just walk away and save the documents. And when the kid or kids turn 18, give them the documents that has the unfair terms and they'll see the truth. That you wanted to be in their life, but it was financially impossible. That would be the best revenge on the deadbeat single mother because the kids are going to hate her from then on. The comment says it all. If a woman can't afford a child, she receives housing and food stamps. A guy can't afford it if he goes to jail. Funny, that's how things work, and the guy is called a deadbeat. That's why a majority of single mothers who chose to be single should be called deadbeats. Why does the kid whose dad makes $100K a year cost more than the kid whose dad makes $40K? Because the state claims the kid who comes from a $100K household needs to maintain that lifestyle. In other words, the mother should maintain that lifestyle of going out to lunch every day. And yes, the courts don't audit the deadbeat mother to make sure she actually spends the money on the kid. I spent 30 grand trying to get custody from an abusive addict to save my kids and ended up paying her. System's rigged, boys. The feminist courts doesn't care how competent the deadbeat mother is because then the state could raise the kids and make them into SJW drones. Another father commented, I have a court order to see my child. Mother refuses, but if I break a court order, look out. Men have no rights but a money man for useless mothers. These judges are usually hardcore feminists who set out to punish as many men as possible. And these modern women use their kids as a pawn. That's why half of them aren't aborted. Don't have family in USA or Canada. Don't have a family in most Western countries. They're anti-family and they're not even worth raising a stable family in. What's the point of raising a daughter in?
My son was taken from me and moved out of state when he was 2 months old. I immediately filed an emergency order in court to bring him back, but because of how young he was, it was never ordered, and I was given visitation out of state. I drove 8 hours twice a week in order to see him after working 12-hour days. I was ordered to pay $500 in child support and forced to stay in hotels just to stay active in his life. This went on for over a year. I couldn't afford anything, and his first birthday was celebrated in a car. After 2 years, I'm still here fighting for joint custody, but this time around, I was able to throw him a huge party with all of his family for the first time. I love my boy and I'll never give up on him.
Single moms can kidnap the kids and go to another state, and the state will help her get away with it. The kid has 50% of their father's DNA, then automatically gets 100% of the say if the kid even lives. For the ignorant people out there asking why he can't just move to the state that kid's in, moving is super expensive, and good paying jobs are far few in between. As much as the father is doing all he can to be in the kid's life, is that enough to overcome the mom's brainwashing or her lack of parenting? Because seeing a kid every weekend is not enough to instill discipline, to help him with his homework. The top comment, "I'm fucking in tears. We need more dads like this." Most dads are like that. They just get divorced for petty reasons by modern women. Chick commented, "Now this is effort. Keep fighting. Your deliverance is coming." And someone responded, "It's not cute or sweet. He shouldn't have to do any of that just to see his child." Think of all the money wasted that could have been used on something else just to maintain a broken relationship for the kid. As you saw in the video, the father didn't have money for the kid's birthday because he spent it all on just getting there. If child support was abolished, the mother wouldn't be able to afford to play these games, because she'd have to live close to the father and maybe, just maybe, do what's best for the kid and not divorce the father to raise the kid.
So I'm extremely fucking pissed right now. I'm extremely frustrated with the child support service and the shit that they put us fucking good dads through. I know there's deadbeat assholes out there and the shit like that, but us fucking good dads that do good. Look at all this paperwork I have set up and everything for you. My Zoom call was just now for court to modify my child support and talk about visitation, all the other stuff and everything that she's trying to screw me over. For one child, I pay $860 a month. For the other 2 children of mine that I have 3 sons, I pay another almost $800 a month in child support. I take care of all medical expenses. Everything comes out of my paycheck. I come home with less than $600 a week. Most of the time, $480 to $500 something, and I am a heavy equipment operator for the railroad. This is bullshit. They gave me 15 minutes. Not once did they let me or ask me any questions that I had any concerns about her income expense report that I have here, or the fact that I drive 57 miles one way just to pick up my son, and she only drives about 9 miles. On Sundays on a drop-off, she drives 28 miles. I drive 41 and a half fucking miles. On certain days where I take her all the way back to his mother's house, I drive 67.8 miles one way. And then on her fucking paperwork, she decided to use my Anthem Blue Cross as she pays medical. $369. She came up with the number of $369. She doesn't pay medical for my children, yet it had nothing to do with any of this. They didn't ask me a fucking question about it. And then she put down that she has $300 in her expenses, $300 in daycare. He doesn't go to a daycare. He is in school till 2:30 every day, and then he's with her. She completely admitted in the Zoom call that she has not paid any daycare in the past 3 months, yet it's on her expense report. She is a single mother with 1 child, a 6-year-old. She states that she pays $750 in groceries. I have a family of 7. 5 children, 2 stepdaughters, 3 of my own, and I pay around that much, if not more, for groceries, yet it had nothing to do with my expense report. The way the justice system does us fucking dads is absolutely bullshit. I have notes that they didn't even ask about of every time I FaceTime my son, every time I picked up my son, date, location, time, everything. Not once did they ask me about anything or any of my concerns. They only asked her. And then when it was all said and done, they only dropped my child support from $860, $100, just a shy of $100 less. And then they hung the fucking Zoom call up, and I had nothing to say. Fuck you baby mamas that think that they can control their children, and thus dads who actually are good. Fuck the child support system.
The anti-family courts only care about the money because they get a cut. On top of that, the federal government matches the money that they get. So, our tax dollars are incentivizing theft without our consent. Instead of going to firemen or fixing the federal roads, our tax money is given to criminals who rob men. Even if the guy was allowed to state his case, it's all up to the judge who needs the child support to pay off their third house. These courts aren't real courts, because women are allowed to commit perjury. There is no jury trial, and there's no discovery unless if the court is trying to find secret income sources from the man. One woman commenter says, "Get a lawyer." Clearly, she's ignorant. Women get lawyers for free in these cases because lawyers know the court is biased against the men. Lawyers are the only profession that gets paid for trying and not achieving the win. And someone replied, "Family court is a scam. Usually lawyers and judges know each other and will ultimately just drain both parties. There's a documentary on it." The father is going to have to do what screws him over the least. How many years of that lowered child support till he breaks even paying for a lawyer to lower that child support? You have to shell out thousands up front as a response from that comment stated. That's easier said than done. I'm fighting in Texas right now, and when I talked to a lawyer, they quoted me $8K. We can't afford that. If the father is barely affording child support payments, how is he going to pay thousands of dollars upfront for a lawyer? Sell his car so now he can't get to work on time? Not pay rent for a couple of months so he has to live in his car? Another response. Rolling on floor laughing. I got to pay for her lawyer. Tried to get public assistance, but they said I made too much. She took 73% gross off the top. Just goes to show, in these Western gynocentric society, the best investment women can ever make is not building a business or making a bet in the stock market, but just opening up their legs to the right guy and they'll be set for 18 years. Another man wrote, "Must live in Florida. I went through a very similar situation. I even went with an attorney for men's rights. What a waste of $7,000 that was."
Would you believe me that anybody here in this room could be sued for paternity by someone you don't know? You never met her, you never touched her, but if your name shows up on that judge's paperwork and you don't show up at that hearing, you can be ruled the father of a kid that you don't know, that you are unrelated to, simply because you didn't show up at that hearing to assert your defense saying that it's not mine. I don't know her. I didn't touch her. And some of the mothers have gotten so slick with this is that they put their own address down for service of process. If she's going to get the papers for the lawsuit, how is the guy going to know about the lawsuit? I'll tell you when he finds out. He finds out when an income deduction order is issued by that court to get his resources. And a judge said, yes, this is unfair, it's unjust, yes, it's fraud, but according to the laws of California, you didn't challenge it in time.
The anti-family courts will allow women to commit fraud as long as they get a check. And those single mom criminals won't go to jail for what they did. It will take extra thousands of dollars and hours to prove this in court. Meanwhile, your wages will still be garnished in the process, and you'd be lucky to get that money back. Hopefully, these stories of men getting screwed were enough to make you think twice before marrying or having a kid with a modern woman, especially in the West. If you hate paying regular taxes because the roads aren't fixed yet, you're going to hate it more when the judge doesn't lower your child support after you proved you make less money. And start supporting politicians who back and advocate for men's issues. Because the destruction of the West all starts with the destruction of the nuclear family. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.